Welcome to Let's Be Honest. I'm Liana Ross, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm the assistant director of Gooding Wellness Group, and I'm on a mission to answer your real and honest questions, unfiltered, while also giving you the real and honest opinions of a mental health clinician on pop culture and trending topics. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Let's Be Honest podcast. I'm Liana, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor. And this podcast is all about answering your questions and your requested topics and giving my take on trending topics and pop culture. So today is going to be a pop culture episode, and I was very excited to doing this topic. We are talking about the one and only, my girl, Kim Kardashian, even though she was not my girl when this situation happened. So I'm going to bring it back to, how long ago was this? Maybe like 2 months. The Met Gala debacle. For those of you who are listening and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, can you explain? Of course, here I am. So what happened was Marilyn Monroe's dress was in a museum, or in Ripley's actually, and Kim wanted to wear it to the Met Gala, just to walk down the little carpet and walk up the stairs. And of course, her body is very different from Marilyn Monroe's body. So instead of changing the dress or getting, I don't know, a different dress, she came out on the red carpet. She said that she lost a large amount of weight in a very short amount of time. And I'm not going to give numbers because it's pointless. And people went crazy at the fact that she did this very harmful thing to fit into a freaking dress that she wore for like literally, I'm not kidding, 3 minutes. And it didn't even fit her butt. She still had to have it open in the back while having a little shawl to cover it. So that's what happened. So we're going to talk about why this was so controversial, why everyone was all up in their feels about it. And then I want to bring it down to the idea behind it, the pressure we get when we prepare for a big event or a vacation or whatever that thing might be, how this can be detrimental or harmful, and how can we be accepting of ourselves without the pressure of prepping for a vacation, an event, a wedding, a date, whatever it might be. How can we accept ourselves right now? So you might ask yourself, why was this such a big deal? Why was everyone up in arms about it? So there's a few points that I see from my perspective. Number one is that she's a very big influencer in so many ways that there are a lot of people who hear her messages, see her content, and really internalize it and take it to heart. So someone who might be a little bit more vulnerable, or who might be in a difficult place, or whoever it might be, might hear that message and think, oh, I need to do that. Oh my God, I want what she has. I'm going to do that harmful, they wouldn't say harmful, but I would do that same thing without realizing the context, right? That all the trainers she has, all the chefs she has, it's just not realistic. And the second point is that it's a harmful way to lose weight. Now, I'm not anti-weight loss. I just know that diets don't work, but long term, and that this is a very harmful way to lose weight. And especially without giving the context and without explaining more, it can really fall into the wrong hands, and you just don't know who's hearing it, right? I think that's very important. Even when I personally post on Instagram, and I'm not Kim K, I still am aware of the things I post. And the third biggest point that I kind of talked about in the beginning is changing our body to fit into a dress. And I've talked about before how we're all out here trying to change our body to fit into clothes, when really, why aren't we changing the clothes to fit our bodies? What is that? I mean, I can go into that in a future episode, but it's the pressure that we all feel to get into a dress or to fit into a bathing suit or an outfit or whatever it might be. So when you have these main points all together, it's really dangerous and detrimental and harmful. And that's why it was so controversial. And then, of course, it didn't help that she went back on and kind of like doubled down on it and continued to talk about the way she did it and everything. So that was a no-go for me. And I kind of want to talk about like the pressure we do feel to prep for an event. And for someone who just got married last year, I did not fit into that pressure. I could have, but I had to be very intentional about not giving into that pressure because people always make comments, or it's just also in the wedding industry to prep for that kind of thing and look the quote unquote best that you ever had for the wedding. And this happens a lot for vacations or an event. And I don't know about you, but I know that when there's a deadline like that, it causes a lot of anxiety, right? If we're looking at the calendar and thinking, 5 weeks. Oh my God, I didn't do that thing I was going to do. Because now I'm also shaming myself, right? Like I think there's probably going to be a lot of negative self-talk. You need to get up and go to the gym, or you need to lose weight, or XYZ. So we're really engaging in a lot of negative self-talk, putting shame on ourselves and counting down the days until that thing. And I'm curious, for those people who have found yourself in that situation, how did you feel during that event when that day finally came? And how did you feel after? Like, I'm very curious, right? Like, because I've heard my colleagues and I have talked about, like, when after that event happens, it's kind of like back to the drawing board, back to lifestyle, back to my old way of living. Of course, because some of that behavior, especially what Kim K did, is not maintainable. It's just not for our bodies. So I'm curious for you guys, like, what you should, DM me and let me know, like, how did you feel on that moment? You probably felt great in that event, but I'm curious about how you guys felt afterwards. And this pressure can be really detrimental. And I find that it holds us back from doing what we want. A common narrative is, when I lose weight or when I blank, then I will blank. So I know a big narrative that I've heard people say is, when I lose weight, I'll start dating. Or when I find a new job, or when I move, then I'll work on my self-esteem, or then I'll start therapy, right? And those things usually don't come. Or it adds a lot of pressure on ourselves. The if then, it's a really toxic cycle to find ourselves in. And then we're constantly, again, that shame talk, the negative self-talk that we are doing to ourselves. And I think I've talked about in the past that negative self-talk and shaming ourselves don't actually motivate us. If anything, it just brings us down. And instead, we focus on what we're not doing rather than what we are doing for ourselves. So I want to talk more about, how do we focus on the wins? How do we get out of this toxic cycle so that we don't fall victim to the cycle that is Kim K getting ready for the Met Gala?
Hi, my name is Gordon Gooding. I'm the founder and director of the Gooding Wellness Group here in Cold Spring Harbor, New York. We are a group of mental health providers that offer individual and family counseling here on Long Island. We believe the first step for caring for your mental health is to talk and to learn about it, which is what this podcast does such a great job of. If it has a name, someone else has been through it, and so can you. If you ever need a professional that cares about what you are facing, please feel free to reach out to us. Our counseling services are available throughout New York State through our teletherapy service, and we also offer in-person sessions in our beautiful offices here on Long Island, New York. You can reach us at goodingwellness.com or by calling 631-351-2940. Remember, there's nothing that you need to face alone. Until then, keep listening, be deliberate with your mental health, and keep it honest.
I want to zoom out a little bit and not just focus on our body, but also kind of relate this to relationships, our career, maybe where we are in our life. Because I also know that there's a lot of pressure we put on ourselves with the timeline and where we quote unquote should be in life. And how do we accept ourselves of who we are right now? Because I think they all kind of fall in together with feeling bad about where we are in our relationship or being single, whatever it might be, comparing ourselves to other people, maybe not being in the job that we would love to be in, not owning a house or not being out on our own, whatever that might look like. And again, bringing it back to the fact that first, that negative self-talk does not actually motivate us. So try to catch yourself in those moments when you find yourself utilizing that harmful language, because we're trying to change the way we're thinking. We're trying to change the neural pathways in our brain to avoid going to the negative self-talk. So for the first step, I would suggest recognizing that negative self-talk happen. And there's a tool that some of my clients actually use, and it's called Stop. And it's exactly what you think it is. It's literally where you yell, maybe to yourself or maybe out loud, is stop. And maybe the next step is finding more beneficial thoughts of what did my body do for me today? What do I like about being single? Or what do I enjoy about my job? It might not be my dream, but what have I gained? What is a goal that I want to achieve that will make me feel good about myself and my abilities because I have these abilities? Right? How much money can I set aside to save for a house or to invest, whatever it might be? But meeting ourselves where we're at is huge, huge. And I will tell you that this will also allow us to be more present in the moment on that vacation or at that special event, because I can tell you also when at my wedding, because I was not focused on a diet leading up to it or trying to lose weight, I enjoyed every second of the planning and the fun events leading up to it. I was able to enjoy my bachelorette and eat all the food and not care that I didn't work out that weekend. I was able to enjoy and be present at my bridal shower and even on my wedding day. I wasn't ravenously hungry because I was eating small amounts prior. I was very present in my body and I felt good. I felt good. So I would encourage you, as you're listening to this, think back to an event where maybe you didn't put pressure on yourself to look different or to be a certain way or whatever it might be. And how did that event maybe differ than from an event that we did try to lose weight for? I'm curious about what your self-esteem is like, and if you were able to be present in the moment and really think back to those memories, and how do you remember those memories? Because I know I remember wedding planning as something that was really fun. And I kind of remember the food, but it wasn't my main focus, which makes me feel really good. And I look back at photos and I remember how good I felt in those moments, right? I'm not looking back at those photos and thinking, oh, I was hungry. I was hungry, right? I look back at those photos and think, wow, that was such a good time. We watch the video now and it's just like the best to relive those moments. And I'd be curious if I was looking back and let's say knowing that I dieted for those moments, I probably would have remembered how unhappy I was or how hungry I was and maybe how I micromanaged my exercise or whatever it might be, right? Our focus is taken away from the moment that we're in. And going back to what I was saying with the negative self-talk, this is a very beneficial tool to utilize more positive self-talk outside of this topic, right? Practicing self-talk is so not natural for a lot of us. It's just not. right? Because the way as our brains work, we are most times looking for the negatives than the positives. We just are. That's the way anxiety works. It's looking to protect us. And so we do have to do some extra legwork to think positively, to think even neutral. We don't even have to think super positive. Let me just think neutral. Let me be in acceptance of where I am right now, right? Think back to, can I just meet myself where I'm at? And then maybe the next step would be, okay, then I'll have the positive thoughts. Because the negative self-talks, it inhibits our self-esteem. It makes us feel small. We radiate that energy as well. Yeah. So this is kind of my goal for bringing up these pop culture topics, because I can kind of look at the Kim K situation and talk about it and go on, but what's behind it? And this is kind of goes into my summarizing and closing thoughts. What's behind it? What behind it is the pressure to meet this expectation that we hold ourselves to that is probably unrealistic. In this case, it was. And we've all experienced that. We've all experienced holding ourselves to very high expectations. And then when we don't meet them, even if we do, we put ourselves down. We don't lift ourselves up. We don't, give ourselves grace or meet ourselves where we're at. And so how can we meet ourselves where we're at, celebrate our wins, whether it's for what our bodies can do, our relationships, career, where we are in life, our school, whatever that might look like. How can we take care of ourselves? And I actually just posted on Instagram, my handle is Liana Ross, LMHC, and I posted a reel with 5 ways to improve body image. And I think those are not only beneficial for body image, but they're beneficial for self-esteem all around. So I would definitely encourage you guys to take a look at that and let me know what you think about it. And if you have a pop culture topic you'd like me to discuss, or have a topic request in general, if let's say you're going through anxiety, or you're having an issue with a family member or a friend conflict, relationship issue, you have questions about grief or anything in the world, DM me at Letsbehonestpod, and you can email me at letsbehonest@goodingwellness.com. And if you really like this episode and you like the other episodes, feel free to, please subscribe and follow, leave a review. That would be so helpful. If you don't like something, I still want to hear it. So let me know, DM me, and I'm always down for feedback. I'm looking forward to episode 5 with you guys. This has been so much fun, and stay tuned.